Organizations like 350.org, Green Faith, and the Sunrise Movement connect through action networks to limit the effects of climate change. Through partnerships, these organizations are able to mobilize together. During the global climate strike, organizations partnered together to call the end of fossil fuels. They were monumental in creating crowds in 185 different countries. The power really is in numbers, and partnerships enable these different communities to come together. Now to focus on Sustainable Development Goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. They're essential in having a just transition from fossil fuels to renewable resources. We need strong governance, justice, and peace when making this radical change. A just transition is a transition towards a climate-resilient and low-carbon economy that maximizes the benefits of climate action while minimizing the hardships for workers and their communities. A strong democratic system is needed for this change. At the moment, we see the implementation of SDG 16 into cities' efforts to curb emissions. While the federal level is scaling back on climate efforts, cities have made major strides with mitigation policy. For instance, New York City has committed to achieve net carbon reduction by 2050. Working against the warming climate can seem really hopeless. The climate is set to warm past 2 degrees Celsius at the rate we're going, unless we do something now. We're not slowing down our emissions based on the IPCC report. If we want to stay below 2 degrees Celsius, then emissions must be curbed by 2050. We need to mobilize to reduce our fossil fuel consumption and call on our elected officials to do more. Living on the earth is one thing we all have in common. And climate action is an issue that can bring major groups with major differences together. We can all do our own individual acts, and that matters. But we can't just talk about the Sustainable Development Goals without mentioning the ending the use of fossil fuels. We need to think about major corporations that are subsidizing the fossil fuel industry, and also companies that are responsible for continuing to pollute the earth with greenhouse gases. And we need to hold the fossil fuel industry accountable. This industry, has known for decades about the onset effect of climate change. And nearly 2/3 of all industrial carbon dioxide and methane released into the atmosphere since 1854 can be traced to fossil fuel and cement production just by 90 companies. In many ways, the fight has begun to look like major industries against the people. The question is, how can we tackle an issue that's bigger than ourselves? And I think the answer lies within strong institutions and partnerships. Now, going back to the topic of peace, justice, and strong institutions, it's important that when mobilizing for climate action, there's also climate justice. We must put those who are most affected by climate change at the forefront of the movement. They must be the leaders. There are already lives being compromised because of the climate crisis. Small island states are in perilous danger due to rising sea levels, and climate change will force people to leave their homes. This is already becoming a major concern with small island states. In the Marshall Islands, people have started to leave their homes due to increased drought, cyclones, and rising sea levels. Those on the island are forced to make the decision of if I should leave or should I invest in adaptation methods. And this has become the reality for many small ocean states. And there's no legal framework for climate refugees yet. There will be a need for migrants to gain refugee status due to climate change. It is a conversation that's already begun. We also cannot ignore communities of color, impoverished communities, disabled communities, and LGBTQ+ communities who will be disproportionately affected by climate change. For instance, with the disability community, it may be difficult to evacuate and stay safe. If an area floods, the community can have a difficult time finding transportation that keeps one's health care in check. There's a need to hear each community's narrative so that mitigation and adaptation efforts are equitable. And so as a climate justice intern for the Unitarian Universalism United Nations office, I mainly focus on building the Unitarian Universalist climate change movement through education and advocacy. We need to collaborate with other climate change voices in and around the United Nations to promote a world that is livable for future generations. The Unitarian Universalist Association is a religious organization whose mission is to promote the goal of world community, peace, liberty, and justice for all, reflected in the United Nations Charter. As a climate justice intern, I believe we need to highlight those most affected by climate change in the conversation, because climate change is a human rights issue. It affects lives. There is hope, and as an intern at a faith-based organization, one issue religious orgs can all agree on is working towards a better earth. For instance, Green Faith is an interfaith coalition in which people of all faiths come together to work for a better climate. They mobilize people to act on climate by carrying out several different campaigns. One major campaign is the People's Climate Movement, which pushes for the Green New Deal and strengthening communities facing the worst impacts of climate. The Unitarian Universalists have a similar campaign called the Unitarian Universalist Ministry for Earth. They set up climate action teams, which is a network of Unitarian Universalist climate activists representing each congregation. They meet regularly to push legislation in their state. Climate activists this year from the Unitarian Universalists hope to push for the Green New Deal. So we need to take action now. So I can give you an individual action to take right now if you want. Take out your phones, and we need to tell our representatives to act on climate. The United Nations Association USA network has a text hotline. You can tell your politicians to get back in the Paris Agreement. We're going out of the Paris Agreement. It's going to be official on November 4th, but if we do something now, maybe things will change. So text Paris to 738-674.
Please repeat.
Sorry. Text Paris to 738-674.
Do they need the dash?
No,
Put that number.
738-674.
Text Paris 2738-674.
Got that.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Where you can send a message to members of Congress asking them to publicly oppose the administration's attempt to withdraw. Yep.
Paris is the message?
Yeah, Paris is the message.
And the number is?
The number is 738-674. Sorry, I wasn't clear.
And text the message Paris.
Yeah. Yeah.
738-674.
Yeah.
Paris as the message.
Yes.
Text Paris as the message to 738-674. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it works either way, with or without the dash.
Thank you, and hopefully we can all make a difference before it's too late.
Dior, would you mind putting that microphone up in the podium stand, please? So we'll just take a deep breath while Kasey goes to the podium and take this in. Lindsey, thank you. And you made my day doing an action. It's awesome.
We had a few failed deliveries on the text, so maybe the number, can you say?
738-674.
There's no
No.
area code?
738-674. The message is Paris.
Got it.
Kasey Arnold.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here this morning. I would like to thank Mohonk Consultations for allowing my club members and me to be present at such an incredible event. I would personally like to thank Nancy Graham, Brad Berg, and Dot Maber for being so kind and helpful, as well as everyone else who took part in allowing me to speak here today. I would also like to thank my club leader and mentor, Diana Zuckerman, for always supporting me and putting so much effort and love into today and everything we do. So, as you can see here, I am the president of the Rondout Valley Human Rights Club, where promoting peace is our #1 priority. Our main purpose is to raise awareness for people whose rights are being violated and for those who need a voice. We support and defend equal rights for all humans. We value the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and believe in everything the document stands for. Many of our club's ideals and goals come directly from the Declaration of Human Rights. One of our main priorities is inspiring the next generation to be part of the solution, as stated in our mission statement. We want everyone to be part of the solution. Our club is involved in many events in the community, and we have been recognized at many of those events for our work, including at the Ulster County Youth Bureau's Youth Helping Youth ceremony. We were recognized for our work in the community. Each one of our club members received a certificate of recognition and received a pair of AirPods. We take much pride in helping our community and creating a more peaceful environment for those who live in it. Our club has also been involved with Mohonk Consultations for several years. We have attended the Peace and Pastures of Plenty conferences, where we are able to inform and empower ourselves. Empowering ourselves is pivotal in becoming an activist. We were actually informed about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals at one of the conferences. We, as a club, support these Sustainable Development Goals, which list several humanitarian issues that we can solve by the year 2030 to promote a more peaceful world. Sustainable Goal 13 states climate action. So on International Climate Action Day, led by a 16-year-old girl named Greta Thunberg from Sweden, my club members and I got together and wanted to do something important. To accommodate all students and keep it peaceful, we decided to hold a Stand Up for Climate Action in our cafeteria. Our club speaker, Dior Williams, and I stood up in front of our peers with a megaphone and began telling them about the effects of climate change and how it is destroying our ecosystems. As we gained their attention, I began to say, when I say what do we want, you say climate action. When I say when do we want it, you say now. The kids were very vocal and enthusiastic, which really made it an incredible thing to have been such a big part of. After the event, we were featured in the local newspaper, the Bluestone Press, and a student, Damian Bradley, who participated in the stand-up, said, "When I stood up in the cafeteria, I felt powerful, and I felt like I wanted to make a difference." Hearing things such as that made me realize that no matter how small something may seem, it has the potential to change and bring peace to someone else's life. This mindset has inspired my activism and my focus on promoting peace in our community and in the world. In October, our club was fortunate enough to be invited to the 8th International Congress on Migration and Mental Health at SUNY New Paltz. Representatives from the Athena Network from around the world, including Belgium, Spain, Venezuela, Japan, and Australia, were present and spoke with us. This was the first time that this Congress had been held in the United States, so it was a very powerful feeling to be there. We go to these conferences and workshops to educate ourselves, which helps empower us to continue our work and spread peace in the community and in other people's lives. Our club, Diana Zuckerman, took 2 club members to the American Association of University Women, How Girls and Women Are Changing the World conference. There were local speakers discussing community initiatives for climate action. We value these local events because it is another opportunity to inform ourselves about issues and to network and connect with the community. Our club works hard and strives to be an ally for LGBTQ+ students and for everyone. We believe listening to people's stories and sharing our own helps create a better understanding between LGBTQ+ and allies. Informing yourself by listening to people's experiences and possibly sharing your own helps create a more trustful and understanding relationship with others as well as yourself. We were fortunate enough to attend an inclusion workshop at the NYSET building in Kingston and gained so much knowledge. We heard a story of a transgender man, Jack Einstein, who shared his struggles of being trans in the public school system and how others were really not informed about the subject, which led to an unfavorable environment and relationship with his peers. As he got older, he shared his story of self-acceptance and growth. He started distributing stickers around his school that said, "I am human," which he got told to stop. And he brought those stickers to this workshop to share with us, which I have here to share with you. So feel free to take one at the end and know that by having that sticker, you are an ally and a voice for those who need it. Creating an inclusive school environment has been an issue for a long time. Being a student myself, I witness cruelty and non-inclusive behaviors on a daily basis. Peace is knowledge, and if we don't teach our youth about diversity and societal issues, how can we expect to create and maintain a peaceful environment for themselves and those they coexist with? I also believe that peace is safety, and if we aren't comfortable with each other, we do not feel entirely secure, and part of feeling at peace with each other is being a friend and ally to those who need one. It's as simple as, if we don't feel safe with each other, we are not living in peace. Therefore, we must educate ourselves and adapt to diversity. Not only must we respect our neighbors, but part of respecting is understanding. If we can respect and understand different lifestyles, then we can peacefully coexist, and welcoming diversity is the first step. Empowering our younger generations to have this mindset is essential for spreading this